Hey everybody, Captain Murphy here, Salty Sea Dogs. We're going to take a look at the latest build of Sea Titans, and today it's quite a few changes, and mostly the cosmetic stuff. As you can see here, we've changed from the placeholder assets, which were the low poly versions, to more realistic versions. So you've got more realistic chests, the PBR stylings, we put in some of our weapons. One of the pistols is actually out of our asset store set. That's our 24-pound gun in the background. We also just pulled in some other assets we've got that fit into the period. We've got the ships changed out, so they are no longer the low poly ships. The brig in the background is actually the one that we have. Was originally made for Tides of War. The one on the right is one that is made by Hesburgh, and it's a very nice. It's a little sloop. Pretty nice little setup. Anyway, so like I said, we've changed out some of those. We've moved to the more realistic assets. Now, I would want to point out is the flags on those, all the ensigns that are flying off of the backs of those ships, those are actually now being generated dynamically. So every time you start, those are going to be a different flag, and those are made to be dynamic. They're actually generated using elements. So every time it loads, the flag is going to be slightly different background color, different edgings, borders, and like these little emblems in the middle, things like that. So every faction can have its own flag, and then eventually you'll be able to create your own and all that fun stuff. So just kind of trying to make the world a little more unique, and that allows us to create just a whole collection of elements, and you can just build your own flag from there. So you'll see that the character is swapped out. Again, we're going a little more realistic. So we're getting into the point that we've now switched over to the UMA character system, so this is going to be a heavily modifiable character in the future. You better put your own clothing on them. Each one of the add-on slots will do different things to the character model. You better put shoes, hats, belts, all the fun stuff on them. Dress them up, play Barbie with them. You can see we've swapped out the ship again. And again, this is our brig that we sell on the asset store, and that's also the upgraded 24-pound guns that we also sell. Then we've just kind of scaled them down to fit as a 9-pound rather than 24-pound. Very much the same kind of a gun chassis shape. Everything else is pretty much the same, though. The actual world generation is the same, and this time we're just going to go ahead and create a fairly small world and jump in and just get a quick kind of a look at what else has changed. So I guess the primary thing that we've been digging into is not only character advancement, so the character has, the animations are getting tied to it correctly. It's getting more refined as terms of how the kinematic controller, physics, and animations are all connecting. So all that's coming together. So now we're getting a little closer to a more polished base, and I won't say that it's anywhere near functional yet, but it's getting there. And like I say, this is going to take a long time because of the kinematic nature and how it has to tie into the physics, but it's getting along. Again, there's your regular world, loaded up, bunch of islands. The one thing I do have that is now changed is you can do some building. Now, this does not tie to the islands yet. This is still kind of freestanding. So if you build something and then you move around the world, the buildings will be in the same spot. So you can't actually build and then have the building follow the islands. That's coming in the next set of updates. But we've got a little basic build wheel. So we can pick this and we'll build, just put a piece of ground over here. I actually kind of like putting it on the edge of hills so I can get it higher. And then we can place down some flooring, and let's go ahead and... Now I like these. These are a lot of fun. You can actually put these little triangular pieces, and then you can build these little circular rooms. I like calling them observatoriums, And then you can go ahead and add your walls. And we want to put a bunch of windows on this one all the way around. And then we're going to put a door right there. And then we'll go ahead and put flooring overhead. Alright, that looks like a nice little house there. So let's put a solid wall here. here and here. Let's put some windows around there. And let's go ahead and put window there. Window there. And we'll put a doorway there. And then let's not forget to put the overhead. So we got some ceilings going here. And then we're going to add on some stairs so we can get in and out easy. Well, look at that, we got us a nice little house. Okay, now these houses are actually stored in collective groups, so if we want to later on allow someone to blueprint the house out and then save it out, you both do that. And again, you've got these little fancy items here, like you can add stairs to, or these ladders to walls, so you can put them on the walls. You can't climb them yet. The kinematic controller doesn't quite understand these ladders just yet, but it's close. You can add like your chest if you want to decorate a little bit. You can put a chest in the corner. Of course, it's getting a little dark, so let's go ahead and put a couple of torches up. All right, let's put a couple on the outside first. Okay. Alright, so we got a couple on the outside. Let's put one on the inside there. Inside there. And let's get some lighting in our observatorium here. Okay. Now we can go ahead and put a chest. Alright. So that's how it's starting. I mean, this is pretty much bone stock, but we've got it working with the controller and the view and the camera views and all that fun stuff, and then tying it into the save system is what's coming right now, and that's kind of why I've been digging around trying to get this functional first, and then we're going to be able to save this information to the island itself, and then once the island despawns, we're going to write it out to the actual save files. And then once you're moving around again, if you move somewhere that is new, then it's going to check for that island, and if the island has saved objects on it, it'll re-render them back in their positions again. So we're able to save and load as we need to throughout the world, so these things are going to be persistent as you're moving around. And then the nice thing is, with these worlds as they are, and then the buildings like this, we'll be able to tie the pieces together, and then in new towns, we'll only have to define a building, and then we can say that in one zone it could be an Eastern styling. Well, then we're going to use those Eastern pieces, but the building shape and the actual pieces themselves can be the exact same. That way the merchants can be the same building, the shipyards can be the same building, everything like that, except that the pieces themselves are just going to change their styling using that base blueprint. And that's going to save us some overall time, and later on we'll be able to just tweak the blueprints, things like that. We can add multiple different merchant shops and that. And as long as they fit inside the same area, then the towns can then be a little more random and unique as it places the objects around the town and builds them, again, using these pieces and parts rather than having to define the buildings statically. So anyway, I think that covers the last couple of weeks. We're still trying to get caught up and back up to speed after the hurricane came through and knocked a bunch of stuff out over here. So it's been a little slow going, and it's still going to be a little slow up until we can get some more time and get things a little more, I guess, stabilized in our kind of area here. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember to stop by SeaTitans.net and SaltySeaDogs.net as well. Thanks.